And now, Hangar 56 Media presents Spike's Car Radio, a downloadable cars and coffee, hosted by writer, comedian, and automotive enthusiast Spike Feresten. Now, here's Spike.
It's Wednesday. We did it. We made it. Holy crap. We made it to this day. Hello, Spike's Car Radio friends. How are you? It's good to be with you. I'm happy that you're all here with us. Even if it's not Wednesday, if it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I don't care. We have a terrific show for you today. Jerry Seinfeld, I chatted with him a little while ago, not long ago, hours ago. I'm going to play that interview for you. Today's show is sponsored by, of course, Manscaped, Policy Genius, and our new sponsor, listen to this, Zuckerman, TLG, Marco Gerassi's shop, a local
About
shop,
time.
TLG Auto. We'll get to those guys in a little bit. I'm all jacked up because, Zuckerman, I feel like the Peloton Slayer. You know what Peloton is?
Yeah, something
Everybody
stupid.
did Peloton when this pandemic started, right? I built my own bike because I talked to my friends, and here's what they told me. All the money goes into the screen, no money goes into the bike, right? This is kind of a car conversation, right? You get this big screen, but the bike is crap. I decided to get my own bike. I put all the money into the bike, and then I took James' old iPad and put it on the steering wheel or whatever it is, the handlebars, right? And I got the Peloton. I got the Peloton app, and I signed up for it. And I'm doing, as you know, I've been spinning for an awful long time. These Peloton classes, they talk down to you. There's 30 seconds to a minute of them going, okay, everybody. And then you feel like not an athlete in this class. You feel like you're in a rest home in Florida. What is that, retirement village they keep talking about?
Leisure World?
Leisure World. Okay, everybody get up. We're going to stand for 10 seconds. Okay, stop for a minute. Stop for a minute. Catch your breath. That's not what I need. I have 30 minutes to work out. I don't need... So along comes the SoulCycle bike, and with the Varus app, VARIIS, right?
Like varicose veins?
Like varicose veins, exactly. On it, it's got the SoulCycle spin classes. It might be in a beta. I was just let in 3 days ago. Okay? I get on my bike. I press that SoulCycle button. I sign up for this thing. I don't know. I'm paying $30 or $40 a month. The first class I do is this girl Nesbitt, I think is her name. Karen Nesbitt. This is the difference between a small town news broadcast Peloton and The Godfather. The way it's shot, multiple angles. The class starts when you hit play. The teachers know how to let the music carry you through. I'm not pitching them right now, but I've worked out every day since this thing has happened. I'm so happy right now, Zuckerman, that now I made the right decision.
I can't believe.
I'm so excited.
I can't believe if I didn't like you and if you were just somebody that I didn't know that told me the story, I'd walk away. And in particular, and I want you to know,
I understand
I have a bad stomach, and we're here, and I'm really at the final seal down below. Like, I could easily just crap my pants right now with the way my stomach is. And I'm listening to you babbling about Peloton, about SoulCycle, about The Godfather, about everything.
Yes.
And I'm about to spray fucking coffee out of my bunghole.
Well, that's the difference. One of us is an athlete, and one of us is a dying old
You're
man.
An athlete.
It's hard.
Your body's like a little wishbone ready to be cracked.
That's because I work out, and I'm staying in shape. But we'll see who lives longer, Zuckerman.
Oh, you'll live longer than me.
Let's try to find some common ground here. I was saying this to Jerry the other day, and I believe this would be a good new holiday for us. There should be Godfather the movie day. There should be one day a year where we all sit down, we all get together, and we watch The Godfather. What do you think about? I mean, think about how stupid all holidays are, but that would be a pretty meaningful holiday, don't you think?
Yes, I like where you're going with this.
That we remember this great film and we sit and we watch it and remember how great it is.
I think that you're onto something. I would call it National Film Day, and every 4 years is The Godfather, but in those intervening 3 years, the
Goodfellas,
whole
maybe.
nation watches something else, like Goodfellas, or The
Casino.
Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, or Casino, or Thunderbolt and Lightfoot.
That would be good.
Some fantastic.
How about Duel?
Right, exactly. With Dennis Weaver, the Dennis Weaver one.
Duel Day.
Or Hitchhiker, where you remember when, with Rutger Hauer, the fingers in the French fries. Do you remember
Yes.
that one?
Yes.
So I like this holiday, and every 4 years, like leap year, you watch the
But I
first
only want
two
it to be The
Godfathers.
Godfather.
I don't want to
Now
see.
you're adding all three. Now it's
no,
feeling like
no, not three. Three never
No.
gets seen.
But
Three
why
is
not
never
just
seen.
the one movie? Now you're making it too big.
No,
and too,
because
now I feel like I'm at film school. I don't have time for this. I just want one day where me and you and Jerry and whoever, we get together, we watch the movie together, we have a big dinner. I don't know what.
True, this would be good.
We have we have a Simon Roth cake. Is that his name?
Yeah, no, Hyman Roth,
Hyman
not
Roth.
Simon. Just a little, just a sliver.
Right, that'll be
Look
part
at
of the
cake.
holiday,
Everyone
right.
looks at the cake. Look at the cake. Look at the cake.
Exactly.
And
we go up
that
to
was-
the roof wherever we're eating. We
Was
do
that
the
Burgess
cake.
Meredith? No, that was
No, it's not.
It was not
No.
Burgess Meredith. It was Lee. Now my old man mind.
It's the diarrhea in your brain. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it
But
does
you can look
matter.
it up.
I got.
But now do you see? Maybe there's a little dancing. Maybe there's a
Can
murder.
we beat somebody with a garbage pail?
Yes.
That'll be the highlight of the holidays when we beat somebody with a garbage pail.
Godfather Day.
Yeah.
I mean, think of it. Labor Day, any of these other days, that makes no sense. This would be a man's holiday. And women, if you like that, you can come too. But I think this is primarily
Lee Strasberg, the
Lee
famous
Strasberg,
actor.
right. A men's holiday that celebrates
really?
just this one movie.
We do need a men's holiday.
Yes.
And as part of the holiday, the women in our lives cannot be contrary in any way. They just have to be nice. They have to be agreeable. They never get to say a cross word to us.
Let's
One
do an
day a
ad,
year.
Zuckerman. We got a lot of ads to get through. Let's start with our favorite group, Manscaped. Put your pants back on, Zuckerman, please. This is exciting. They've just released, and make sure you start that music, Will, if you haven't already done it. They've just released the Weed Whacker nose and ear hair trimming. Take a look in the mirror, and I guarantee you're going to see hair sticking out of your nose. I see them sticking out of Zuckerman's face right now. It's time to keep your ear hair and nose hair looking as nice as your clean-shaven, you-know-what's below the belt. Do you trim your nose hair, Zuckerman?
Yes. The
I
other
know what
day,
those are,
though,
but-
the other day,
What?
I looked at my ear. I was in somebody's bathroom, so
Yes.
the light hit me
It was
in
better.
a much different way. And I saw a long hair. It was about 3 inches long, thin. It had a little reddish tint to it. And I can tell you that it was probably not there the day before. I think it erupted out of
No.
a pore and became full length all overnight.
This is
that
an old
possible?
man thing. Everybody sees those, and it's always in somebody else's bathroom. It's been neglected. You haven't been able to see it. But I hate that hair. I know that hair you're talking about. And
Boring. It comes out fully grown.
we need Manscaped. We need a device for that. Anyways, the Weed Whacker nose and ear hair trimmer. I want it. I'm going to tell you about it wants us to talk about our experiences with nose hair. Look, all I know is whatever I put up my nose does two things. It infects my nose with some mucus fungus, and it hurts when it cuts. You think it hurts down below when you cut. When you cut inside your nose and you make a mistake, it hurts. Well, guess what? Manscaped is forever changing the grooming game with their Weed Whacker. This nose and ear hair trimmer provides proprietary skin-safe technology which helps prevent nicks, snags, and tugs and delicate holes.
And a patty whack.
The premium Manscaped Weed Whacker uses a 9,000 RPM. That's the same as the GT3 motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual-blade system. Yeah, but it's not going to nick. It's like that thing I use with me and Gopher. It doesn't hurt you.
It's very important. Everybody should know this. Do not pull your nose hairs out. You do so at your own risk. I have read that you can pull out a nose hair and you can get an abscess that goes up to your brain and kills you, Ferris.
Really?
Yes, really.
Well, then you must get this Manscaped Weed Whacker because if you don't, you're going to die.
Yes.
This is the only nose hair trimmer on the market with a powerful rechargeable lithium-ion battery that lasts for up to 90 minutes of use.
I know who I'm buying it for. I used to have this law clerk. That worked for me.
Yeah.
And as a young man, I don't want to say his name, Alex, but as a young man, he had tusks of hair coming out of his nose. and he would go to the bathroom and think I wouldn't notice that he did a little bump in the bathroom, but it was all stuck in his nose hair, which was like thick, matted, like really the density of carpet. His hair. And
he didn't trim his nose hair to do his cocaine?
No, he didn't. It was so thick, Ferrison. It really was like a full plug.
I wonder if the music is still playing at this point.
I don't know how. And he came up to me one day and he said, "I'd like a raise." And I said, "I got a better idea. You're fired."
So he did a bump, and he said, I'd like a raise. He got the courage.
He had rubble in his nose. He coke rubble in his nose. And he was all coked up. "I'd like a raise." I said, "I got a better idea. You're fired."
Well, here's the best idea. Now you can have 20% off plus free shipping using the code SPIKE911. My name, my favorite car at manscaped.com. That's SPIKE911 at manscaped.com. You get 20% off free shipping using SPIKE911 at manscaped.com. And I will tell you, and Zuckerman knows it's the truth, I use these Manscaped devices, and I love them.
And he uses them on the dog.
I use them on the dog. I use them on myself, and I don't get hurt anymore. And I'm happy. Anyway, it's good to be here, Zuckerman. You know, I got a call from Lamborghini last week, or a couple weeks back, and they said, "Hey, do you want to come out to Willow Springs and drive the new Lamborghini Huracan Evo RWD, rear-wheel drive around the track?"
Like GT2 of Lamborghinis?
Yeah. We're going to have you there with a racer, a teacher. You're just going to be doing laps. You're going to get some real wheel time. And this is like a pandemic thing, Zuckerman. This is, remember we were talking about this last week. Here's another one. On a Wednesday, I was able to do some work in the morning, get in my car. By lunchtime, I'm at Willow Springs. They have this setup you would not believe. They have these Huracan Evos set up on the track. They have a big banner that says Spike's Car Radio, Spike first, and here's your car. They handed me a carbon fiber Lamborghini helmet, racing helmet to use. I brought my own gear, but they said, here, use this one. Cappuccinos. Hannah Elliott for Bloomberg was there, too.
Did you have your special anti-sickness ring?
I brought my, it's called Relief Band, to test it, because I had tested it off-road. I had not tested it on the track. I drank a ton of coffee, and I had an empty stomach. To like maximum sick.
You're prepared to be ill.
I prepared to be ill, right?
And did your dick band work?
Well, the first thing they say is, after I say hi to everybody, I love that whole crew. They represent Ducati too, and a bunch of great brands. Morgan was there, one of our favorites. They said, let's go out to the skid pad and do some drifting first. And I said, perfect.
Skid pad.
You're going to need a skid pad
skid marks.
in a minute, Zuckerman. You're going to need one if you laugh too hard. It's all going to come up. So this guy gets out there, and it's funny. So he can't be in the car, so they have a little walkie, and then he's got his own Huracan Evo, right? And he goes out and, hey, we're going to do this, and he does a bunch of great drifting around these orange cones, right? He goes, okay, now your turn. We're going to do it with traction control on and traction control off, right? So I go try to do the first. I've only got 10 minutes or 15 minutes to do this. The first maneuver with traction control on.
You can't drift it, can you?
No, I'm doing it wrong. I'm not doing what he's saying. And
with the jerking of the wheel one way and then the other back quickly?
You pop it into second gear, very quickly get onto it, and then turn in. It's supposed to not turn in. Whatever I'm supposed to be doing, I'm not doing it. And he's calling out to me through the walkie-talkie. And as you know, in a Huracan Evo, right?
Right,
this is what it sounds like. Next time. And you're like, what? You can't.
Were you getting angry?
Very frustrated. He goes, you're going to, all I can pick up is you're going to get this, right? Now I'm feeling.
No, I'm not.
Such pressure to get it. And I'm like, why do I have to get it? I don't know what you're trying to demonstrate, but I saw you do it. I keep going around and around. He goes, okay, forget about that. Now I'm like, all right, now I'm the crappy student.
And you couldn't get it. Now you're mad at yourself.
He's really nice, but still I'm starting to put myself down. But not feeling sick. I've got the shock blasting through my wrist, and I feel great. Now I take traction control off. I execute the first drift perfectly. But as the car swings out to the right, I'm supposed to grab it and modulate the throttle so it swings out to the left, and then right again.
Right.
I can't get those three pieces together in this 15 minutes. But I did get the first. I'm still having fun, right? I'm flipping around. I'm doing donuts. It's amazing. The car is amazing. It's super fun. But he's trying to get me to do this turn, and I can't do it. So I leave the first kind of area a little, depressed, right? This happens, I think, to a lot of folks when they get to the racetrack. It's the realization that
I expect to be perfect the first time I try something.
Right.
And if I'm not perfect or very good the first time I do something, I'm very negative.
Yes.
And down on myself. I agree with you.
It was fun, and I wanted to learn how to do it,
and
but
you
I
want
just
to be
didn't
a
have the
wheelman,
time.
and if you can't do the thing...
No, I didn't think that. Here's what I thought. I don't have enough drifting practice. I don't have time, and I'm thinking about Chris Harris and those drift turns that he makes.
Makes it look easy.
He makes it look easy.
Fucking guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Next time he's on, we're going to get him for that.
Yeah,
but
it makes it look easy.
I'm comparing and despairing that I'm not Chris Harris. Anyway, then we get out to Willow, all right? And I've got this teacher from Skip Barber. The guy used to teach Matt Farrer when he was a kid. Maybe I'm confusing the guys. But we get out, and he goes, all right, look, we're going to start in sport mode. We're going to do some lead follows. I say, look, I've got nothing to prove on the racetrack here. I want to enjoy this. You guys are putting a lot of pressure on me not to take this car off the track. So let's not go nuts. If you see me lagging behind, it's cool. He goes, don't worry, you're going to be great. I'm going to have you doing 150 through the last turn before the last straightaway. And I go, 150 through that turn? Look, I've been on this track before. What are you talking about? Anyway, we start jamming. Of course, the first lap is really fast. Do you remember where we went out with Jerry up there? Do you remember the turn that Sam crashed in?
Yes.
Right. I do too. I remember that turn 5, I think it is after that, where I almost got sideways in your old Adriatic Blue GT2 back in the day. I know every place where I've either gone off the track or slid around where I don't feel comfortable. And I'm in a car where they're saying, don't let it go off the track. It really messes the car up. So we start getting up to speed. I get in those turns, and I am sliding. I'm sliding around. The car's recovering great, right? And I'm recovering. I'm not spinning, but it's icy enough for me to feel a little uncomfortable. So I squawk to the guy. I go, pit. I go, tell me what I'm doing wrong. He goes, well, we're going to go up to Corsa race, and we're going to take traction control off. I go, no, we're not. I just want to know what I'm doing wrong up there. So he says, look, you're a little out of the racing line, and up there when you're out of the racing line, it tilts downward, and he goes, that's why it's feeling slippery. I go, well, let's just work on that. I'll just be happy doing that. I don't need to take the traction control off because it saved my ass a couple times, right? So we start just doing that, and I stay on his tail maybe a car length, 2 car lengths off, and really start getting the line of the track. By the end of that series of laps, I was coming out of the turn, not at the 150, but on that straightaway, my last lap, I got up to 156, Suckerman.
Wow.
156 in that damn thing.
Wow.
Then jammed on the brakes, and boy, did it feel good, right? I took myself out of their program and just did something, and it made me love the car, right?
Wow.
So you hop out of the car, and you guys don't know what these events are like, which is why I'm, telling you about them, but you hop out. Everybody's cool. They're like, do you want some lunch? They give you some lunch. You have a nice cappuccino. And then there's a Huracan Evo Spider there for you to take out onto the street. And by the street, I mean...
the streets of Willow.
Yeah, I'll post a picture. No. I mean outside, off the racetrack. There's just an empty road. Empty roads, with nothing on either side. So I get in this thing and, goose it up. And look down. I'm doing 137 by mistake. 137, Zuckerman, with the top down. And what a car, what a sound. These Lamborghinis grab me every time. I may not have understood or gotten the electronic whatever traction control and how it does this and that. It's not important to me. What was important to me was the 156 headed down that straightaway into that first turn, and then the unbelievable agility and speed at 137 going, this feels like 80, right? Incredible time.
Impressive, huh? Those cars are really impressive.
I loved them. I thought it was pretty neat. The car was pretty great. The colors were a little bright, and they had oranges and a wild yellow speck for me. But if you look at that Evo Spider, White, black wheels with a black interior with a black top.
What does that price out at?
I got everything right here. They're expensive. The 0 to 60s, let's see, 610 horsepower. It's a 10 V10. Didn't really test the electronics. Didn't have time. So Strata Sport Corsa mode. That's what we were doing. All right, here we go. So for the regular Huracan Evo, it's 208. So I'd imagine a little
Close.
more.
So you got to be close to the upper side of the twos, 275.
0 to 100 kilometers, which is 62 miles an hour, right? 3.3 seconds.
Wow.
But,
Fast.
you know, the handling. This is all part of our Porsche family, right? Our Volkswagen family.
Yes. It's an Audi Volkswagen Group vehicle.
And the guy from Ducati happened to be up there too, works for the same PR firm, and we talked about my love for Ducati, and a Panigale is coming my way. The final Ducati test before purchase.
You're going to purchase one?
I think so. But I don't know which and what, but I'm zeroing in. But I like new motorcycles.
You're not going to tell us. You're going to very Trumpian to leave us wondering what's going to happen.
No, I really don't know. I want to try the Panigale because I like the racing position. I suspect the Street Fighter V4S would be the compromise bike because of the riding position.
Right.
But I also want to try something a little fast. I suspect self-preservation will keep me from buying the Panigale. Which may sound crazy, but I think I might actually go faster on something with a fairing and act a little more reckless than I normally would.
Interesting.
Not everybody gets in a motorcycle accident, Zuckerman.
You should see the cases I have.
What do you got?
I got
I gotta
tons
blow
of
my nose.
motorcycle accidents. People hurt, terribly hurt. Ferrison, terribly injured. You should see. And I thought of you. I mean, these days, cameras are so ubiquitous that I frequently get somebody's dash cam of an accident. You see a lot of avoidable accidents. Some guy in the number 1 lane on a motorcycle, there's a car up ahead of him in the left turn lane. He can't see, but the car in the other direction can't see, and he enters the intersection on a yellow, and the car opposite him makes a left.
Oh,
and
you sent me that video.
And he goes flying. And yes, it's not his fault in the eyes of the law, but as a motorcycle rider myself, I never would have been entering an intersection from that number 1 lane
on a yellow.
On a yellow, I would never even be in the number 1 lane because of the cars blocking view, turning left.
We have so many questions to get to.
Get to questions,
hey, let's talk about Policy Genius. How about some insurance, Zuckerman, for your motorcycle riders?
Better get a lot.
It's Halloween this month, and Policy Genius would like to mark the occasion by making something less scary: home and auto insurance. Shopping for insurance can seem like a daunting task, but Policy Genius makes it easy. They combine a cutting-edge insurance marketplace with the help from licensed experts to save you time and money. Policy Genius saves their home and auto customers an average of $1,127 a year. I think there were 1,173 RSs, right?
Uh-huh.
No? By shopping top-rated insurers in one place. Here's how it works. First, go to PolicyGenius.com, answer a few quick questions about yourself and your property. Then Policy Genius does the rest. They'll compare rates from over 30 top insurers from Progressive to Nationwide to find the lowest quotes. Their licensed experts will look at all the ways to maximize your savings, including bundling your home and auto policies. Always a good idea. You're only paying one guy. If Policy Genius finds a better rate than what you're currently paying, you'll get switched for free. That kind of service earned Policy Genius a 5-star rating across 1,600 reviews on Trustpilot and Google. So, if you're a homeowner, head to PolicyGenius.com right now to get started. They've saved an average of $1,127 a year for their clients. Policy Genius, when it comes to insurance, it's nice to get it right. Policy Genius, Zuckerman.
Something
Remember we were gonna
you
do those
are not.
Those real insurance stories, we were going to do that.
Yes.
Jerry Seinfeld interview is coming up. I asked the listeners.
Was I on that interview?
I asked the listeners. You are not on that, Zuckerman. I wanted to. I had a lot to talk about Jerry, and I wanted to take him through an interview, and we were chatting on Zoom about something else. And I said, let me just hit record and talk. But he did say he's going to be coming out soon to hang with us and do an in-person Zuckerman
Really?
Ferriston Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Really?
Yeah. Otherwise, it doesn't quite work. Crowded around a Zoom. It's hard enough with two. But we had a nice chat, and you guys are going to like it. But first, some questions. Let's just do a couple questions before we get to that. All right? I put that out to the listeners thinking we didn't have much show, and now look, we have a lot of show all of a sudden. Porsches wants to know, pondering my first real watch, Speedmaster Professional, curious to hear both your thoughts on new versus lightly used. I think I've answered this question before. You can get, my Speedmaster, I bought it the year it was made, the year I wanted to buy it. So I believe I bought mine, I don't know, 2002. I just thought it would be fun to go in and buy a new Speedmaster. They all look the same to me. I would buy whatever's in your price range.
I have no problem buying it. Most of my watches are pre-owned.
Yeah. Why worry about that?
Right.
There are a couple that if you're gifting a watch, I think you want to gift it new that year so they remember my dad gave it to me when I graduated college, blah, blah, blah. I'm kind of like Zuckerman. I don't quite care. I would just buy something that looks new, and even if it doesn't, I'd have it polished and make it look new. Yep, polished. That's right. Okay. Have you heard anything about Pebble Beach 2021? Yeah, so far I've heard it's on, but...
Really?
Yeah. Everything got pushed a year, but that could be optimistic. I don't know. 912 Speedster after break-in miles. What does that mean? More info on it. How are you liking your Speedster, Zuckerman?
Love it. What's break-in?
I don't know. We don't acknowledge break-in.
We don't acknowledge that. We just speed. And I love my Speedster. It is a fantastic vehicle.
Right. Yep. We know of one that went down. They weren't able to make parts for it, and we're not sure what happened there.
And we have heard of one that drowned.
The company bought that back. We're going to discuss that, I think. I think I brought that up with Jerry. I think he... you're right. Yeah, it's in this interview coming up with Jerry, his Speedster story, so we'll get to hear that in a second. How many sets of tires have you gone through on the GT2 RS? Good question. I was thinking about that.
None so far.
On the way over here. I was kind of daydreaming on the 405, thinking about, wow, the GT2 RS on the track would be great.
Except you'd shred those motherfuckers.
Except that, and I won't include you in on this, but you and I have not replaced the tires on either of those cars. They probably already need to be replaced.
Yeah,
and
very soft tires.
And then I started thinking about, Paul Walker and that Carrera GT and how he didn't. And I was like, I'm just like him. I made this same mistake.
Different animal, that car.
Yeah.
Much different.
Still can be unforgiving. Graham Loves Cars wants to know quick, how much does Porsche's subscription cost? Between $2,000 and $3,000, right? That's the number?
I thought that for the premium that you have, I thought it was over $3,000. But
I signed up for multi, but I think I was only supposed to sign up for single. But it includes insurance and everything else. And you're driving the 992 right now, right? You have it this week.
Yes, love that car.
Do you find that that it's subscription? Is there? I know how I feel with a car I own versus a car I lease. What about a short-term leasey type thing like this, Zuckerman?
Okay, I'm not 22 anymore, so I don't believe, in those days I believed a rental car meant you beat the fuck out of the thing, you put it in reverse at 65 miles an hour to see what happens, you piss on the floorboards, that kind of thing. I'm mature-ish now, and so when I drive that car, I treat it as my own. I like the car, so I treat it as my own.
Did you notice it was faster and better?
I don't agree with you.
Okay.
I don't agree, but I think it's at least as good.
Do you know where I think it's different? And you'd have to ask your partner who's got the Aventurine green cars when you press that little turbo button.
I have not pressed that yet.
That it goes right up to red line now. I mean, right up to the crispy last little sliver of the tack, and then it shifts gears. And it made me think that I was in manual mode, like, oh shit, I'm going to redline this thing. And then it shifted gears. Wow. And then I went, that's not the way that worked last time.
Okay, so what I'm going to do when I leave here is I'm going to hop on the 405 and I'm going to gun it and I'm going to nail it and then hop off at Wilshire Boulevard. I will tell you that this 992, it's perfect as a cabriolet. This car is a cabriolet car. This version of the 911, the size of it being a little big and whatnot, it is just so great with the top down. It's so comfortable. The air-conditioned seats, the good air conditioning, the speed, the radio, the speed at which the top goes down, as you commented on. It is so fast. It is so easy to use.
That's nice, right?
It's a perfect. This is a perfect cabriolet car.
We should throw some black wheels on it and keep it. It'll just be ours. Let's just not give it back. See what they do. You have 60 grand. What do you buy? The best G body you can find, or a 997.2?
997.
Ooh. Mr. Horton says that you will not be able to buy a 997.2 for 60, but I know what you mean. Good question.
Okay, 997.1, that's why I didn't say 997.
Now, look, there's an argument going on. There are 4 on Auto Trader right now that are manual and with under 60,000
blah,
miles.
blah, 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 blah. Anyway, I
You
would
think
buy,
the 997?
Yes, and I wouldn't really care between 997.1 or 2. It's a very small difference. I would buy the lowest mile, best car I could find in that category.
I would ask myself this question: do I want something modern or vintage? Because the 997 not quite vintage yet, but if you wanted a vintage car feel for the weekend, I would go with the G body. If you're looking for something newish, that's the decision I would be making.
Well, you see, I make an assumption when I hear somebody's got 60 grand to spend that this is going to a person's pushing their budget. They want to get something, and you're going to have a more dependable car, more usable in a 997. I will agree with you. It's the oldest of the moderns.
Have you or Zuckerman ever had a hood fly off while driving? My $320 924's hood flew 40 feet into the air, and I now have car PTSD and can't drive that specific car. That's a really interesting observation. I mean, it's happened to me before, not that, but when something goes desperately wrong with a car, even when a car, shits the bed and stops working, I have trouble the next 5 to 10 drives in it relaxing, right? A hood going off is pretty amazing and super funny, and I hope your wife or girlfriend saw it because they probably got a big kick out of it.
I'm surprised he went back and got it, because I would assume you'd just be driving it without the hood at this point. And then we'd hear on the radio, there's a hood in the number 3 lane.
Right, the SIG alert.
I once was driving next to a pickup truck that had 3 mattresses tied down on top.
Yes.
It was going along fine, and then I started to notice this vibration, this undulation, and then they started wiggling like Jell-O, and then they just flipped up and off. And, of course, the driver of the pickup had no idea that the mattresses came off, and there was something so comical and cartoonish about the way they came off. I was hysterical. I was crying, and I think, I wonder how many accidents occurred.
Wheels have come off. I remember I was driving behind Jerry and his front wheel came off in 911 on the 10.
That's awesome.
And the car impressively stayed, up on you think it'll dip down and suddenly just hit the rotor and all that, but it doesn't. It just rode. I've had pieces, an owl come off a windshield. I don't think I've ever had a hood fall off. I've had pieces of cars fall off for sure, but I know what you're saying. Here's the solution. You got to get out and drive it. You got to drive it like 5 to 10 times, and then you'll start to trust it.
Don't be a pussy. Just keep going.
Yeah, this is a trust thing. Right? You get in a car accident, you're afraid to get in cars. You got to keep driving, and then suddenly, don't worry, you'll have new information right over the bad software in your brain that's keeping you from driving. But that is damn funny.
Give me another one, Ferriston.
A lot of questions we won't know the answers to. Last Rasp wants to know, remind me, what's worse, mashed potatoes or Swiss cheese? I mean, that's easy.
As a brain.
Huh?
Yeah, mashed potatoes is worse.
As a brain.
As a brain, Ferriston, we were just talking about that.
Swiss cheese is not as bad as mashed potatoes.
That's right. You got holes in your brain, but mashed potatoes.
Look at you laughing.
Well, it's just so stupid, but
you meet people with mashed potato and Swiss cheese brains all the time.
All the time. All the time.
What is the condition that causes Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease? What is
that's terrible.
Swiss cheese?
That's
holes
called
in your brain,
mad
right?
cow disease.
Yeah.
And yes, and basically that drills holes, and it's a horrible thing to see somebody who has that. I've seen it, and they have terrible tonic-clonic movement of their head and their muscles and their shoulders, and they can't stop.
Whatever happened to mad cow disease? I read a book about mad cow, and it said in 10 years it's over.
Everyone's going to have it. But,
yeah. Isn't that, did they mean Alzheimer's? Did they mean dementia? Is it possible?
No, it's a different thing. I mean, there's a whole different variety of these brain-wasting diseases that are terrible. Jakob Creutzfeldt or Huntington's disease. The terrible things, Ferriston, that I hope you don't get.
I already have it, I can tell. John Banks, what's the most Scrooge you've ever gotten on a car deal? Well, we've talked about that.
Yeah.
I meant to read GTIRS. Favorite place for each of you to go on vacation? Keep in mind there's no COVID. Pre-COVID. Where is it? Sardinia, Zuckerman? Where do you like to go?
And Sardinia. Those are my favorites.
Wow. What do you like about those two? I know you have the big breakfast with the meats. You like the salted meats for breakfast.
I like being those islands are not overrun with tourists, so you feel like you're in a foreign country. The beaches are wonderful, the food's wonderful, but you're not trapped with all the other tourists, and it's become. Tourist places in Italy or France, they've become like Disneyland, where you're marching with people crushing into you all to view the same thing with so many people around. I don't like crowds. I want to relax. And I've seen enough. I want atmosphere. I don't want sights.
Yeah. I like, let's see. St. Bart's is probably one of my favorite places in the world. The bad roads, the hurricane damage last time I was down there, the great croissants and coffee, and just sitting in the water for hours and hours and getting creamed, sunburned. I really like St. Bart's. I like Paris. I like London. I like the desert. I like our California deserts. I'm intrigued by Salton Sea. I saw some of the water out there.
I've been
I always
there.
thought that was just like grimy salt
Well,
powder.
what it is
I didn't know there was water there.
There was a giant accident, an agricultural irrigation accident in the very early 1900s. So much water poured into that depression that a sea was formed. And it was a thriving sea at one time, but it is now not getting any water put into it. So it's drying up. And all of the pesticides and runoff from farms is now being exposed. So it's pretty gross out there.
If we were going to switch to another brand, Zuckerman, let's just say Porsche wasn't number one in the hierarchy of our brands. What would the new number one be if Porsche didn't exist?
Ooh.
It's like if that movie where there weren't Beatles songs. There are no Beatles songs.
Well, life wouldn't be worth living. I don't know. There's no.
What would you have to pick one? Come on, I could. You own a lot of Mercedes.
Okay, if it was
you like
vintage,
Mercedes,
but I have to say, I don't like.
What brand would you like?
It would be Benz, Ferrari, BMW, but vintage. I don't like how they're doing.
Doesn't have to be vintage. Just what would you call yourself? I'm a what guy?
Yeah.
Pick one. It's hard. I know.
I
Blame
don't,
the listener for this. But
I don't know. That's a tough. I'm stumped.
it's hard to say I'm a Ferrari guy, even though I like Ferraris.
Yeah, you don't want to be that
It's hard to say
guy.
I'm a Mercedes guy,
because
even though I really love the
I'm
Mercedes
not that
brand.
guy, and
I'm a
not,
Land Rover guy, but that doesn't have sports cars.
I'd have to begrudgingly probably declare myself in favor of Benz. But
what about BMW?
I don't like their new products. I'm not in favor of their new products.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like
What is it
the
you're
size. I don't like the weight. I don't like how overstuffed with electronics and cheesy colors and features. They're really turning into a Cadillac brand. Have you seen the latest big boxy BMWs?
I have.
And I'm also and then the gimmick with the big kidney-shaped grille reminds me of the oversized Cadillac badges a while back. It's just a gimmick.
Have you seen the spaced-out meth-smoking 911 thief at all?
Oh, well, that one
Has he
time,
been back?
and we talked about
No, I
it.
know. Have you seen him again?
No, we have not seen him again. He is floating in the ether somewhere.
Okay. What are your thoughts on the Tudor Black Bay GMT? I don't like it. I don't think the bezel is shiny enough. I'm sorry. That may not be a popular opinion. I would go with the Timex. Just for $170. Get the nice shiny blue and red, even though it's not a proper GMT. Best driving season in Southern California, says Joseph I'd say we're in that right now. Fall is where it's like
fall and spring when it's cool.
Fall and spring are the best to come out here.
70 degrees, man.
70 and sunny and clear skies.
You don't want it too hot.
All
You want
right.
to be able to drive something vintage that doesn't have
Let's
AC.
get one bit more question, and then we'll have Jerry Seinfeld come on.
I got to go. I got to make money.
Have you attempted to bring Dave Letterman, as a guest? Yes, I have attempted, but not that hard. I love Dave. Oh, no, you know what? Actually, yeah, we're close, but it's going to take a while. But yeah, he'd be great. I would be terrified, and you could hear that in my voice. It would be a good show. Boy, the same question, Simon. That Speedster of yours, that black Speedster. People keep asking for updates, but wow, how many years has it been?
Let's just say, fucking Will Hoyt. Fucking Will Hoyt. Will everybody go on his Instagram
he is
and just say, fucking Will Hoyt, get Zuckerman his fucking Speedster. It's been 3 years. It was June 3 years ago. So that's 3 years and 4 months
Yes.
he's been on that car. He's had the car longer than I ever drove it before it got in the accident.
I love that this guy makes some of our favorite cars, does the best work, I think, of anybody that we know, and that you can talk about him like that.
Because he's like a glacier. He moves like a glacier.
He totally fixed that Zagato gas tank,
I understand.
Now we have true full and
yes,
empty.
He's brilliant. However, 3 years and 4 months. Here's a guy who's been doing this for 40 years, almost 50. And I said, Will Hoyt, why is it taking so long? Well, I didn't know it was going to take that long. Well, if you don't know how long it's going to take.
Can I ask you some money questions about that car? Would you be honest with our audience about that? Okay, so what did you pay for that car?
Oh, well, that's a big question.
Huh?
That was a very, very expensive Speedster.
That was, right?
It was,
and it was one off on the serial number from Steve McQueen's black
And
Speedster.
it's the only other one that was made to that same spec. It's a black
650.
Yeah, it made a little less, I think.
Oh, that's okay.
It was
and,
around,
and you bought that years ago, and the Speedster market was red hot. That seems solid.
And
I mean, for a car that's one serial number off Steve McQueen's black
made
Speedster.
in tandem, and there were only two cars that were black Supers with Rudge wheels.
Right.
McQueen's and my car.
Okay, now, the hippies in the Catmobile turn in front of you. You jam into them. What does it cost now? Now, are you repainting the whole car?
The car is being fully restored at this point. So I think all in.
Now, was it a preservation car before, or had it been restored once before?
It had been restored by Pino in the early 90s.
Okay,
Pino was the man then, and it was a gracefully aged restoration.
So, look, I've done my Speedster a couple of times, and I know once you start doing paint, it's so small, you might as well do the whole.
I believe it'll be $200.
But, okay, that's a lot of money. A couple more questions, though. Why did you have to restore the whole thing? You didn't have to do the engine, right?
Okay. My feeling was this. As long as we were getting that deep into the project,
right,
there was no way to match paint. So it wasn't like I could fix the front end and it would match what was there.
No, I understand why you did all the paint.
So at that point, I said, go strip everything. And once we stripped everything, there was metal work to be done because some of the old repairs were not done to current standards.
Yep.
It was different standard 30 years ago when they were doing restoration. And at that point, we were taking the engine out, and I said, go through everything. Just do the full Monty Will Hoyt restoration. As long as we were doing 80% of it, do 100%.
Now, does the hippie with a Catmobile have the insurance to cover this?
No, it went through my policy. He had very little insurance.
But the insurance is going to pay for it.
My insurance will. I got full payout from the hippies, which was not a lot of money. They had a rather minimal policy. I believe there was $10,000 in property damage and $20,000 in bodily injury. I got both of those, and to this day, my back still hurts and my shoulder still hurts.
Right.
And it was a bad accident, and so I got that. But then my policy is covering the vast majority, but I will have to go out of pocket to some degree to get the rest of it done.
Now we're approaching $1 million Speedster. Wow.
I will tell you that the car will
car's going to be perfection.
It will be worth more than I have in it. out of pocket,
Right.
but it will be close. But you will be looking at one of the most valuable non-Carrera
you're also
Speedsters.
getting close to the finish line here, so you might as well just enjoy it and then.
Yes, that was my thinking too, Ferriston. I will
Off into the
in my
yonder, Zuckerman.
death years, when I put on that captain's hat on the final trip.
Let's put it on today.
Put on the captain's hat for the final trip down the River Styx towards Hades.
All right, let's talk about TLG Auto. TLG Auto is an independent Porsche service and restoration shop located in North Hollywood, California. Family owned and operated since 1978, now in its second generation, known as the air-cooled Porsche Specialist Shop. They also service and maintain Porsche cars up to and including the 992. They also did your Monte Carlo car, remember? They did a lot of custom work, put in, they sourced the seats, they did custom exhaust. That was super fun watching Marco work on that. They're interested in building long-term relationships with clients, personalized service that is tailored to the client's and car's needs. What does that translate to? Well, guess what? When neither Zuckerman nor I wanted to pick up that Monte Carlo car, they had it delivered. Marco took care of that. Oh, look, that's his next talking point. They can arrange transportation of clients' vehicles to and from their house or storage to and from TLG. Right there, folks, if you're in Southern California, that's all you needed to hear, right? They come to you, they load the car up, they fix it, they return it. We do everything from oil changes and brake jobs, systems diagnostics, and engine and transmission rebuilds. Visit our website, www.tlgauto.com, www.tlgauto.com. You can send them an email through their website, and you can follow Marco, who runs the shop, who's a Porsche nut. I'm sure you've seen him around everywhere. He likes to smoke cigars. He likes to wear watches. You can see him on Instagram at tlg_auto, tlg_auto. There you go.
Awesome.
Right? And people are always asking us, who do you bring your 911s to? Where do you bring your cars? TLG Auto in North Hollywood is going to take care of it for you. Well, let's talk about Jerry Seinfeld. I was up in my little office above my garage at home, and I got to talk with our old friend Jerry Seinfeld. He was out in Long Island. He's got a fabulous office back there. I wish I could show it to you, where it's weird. You can see over his shoulder, you can see his desk, but then he's sitting at another desk. So it's the home office is so big, he's got multiple desks.
And I believe it's a 15-minute walk from the kitchen.
Yes.
To get to the kitchen, it's a 15-minute walk, at least
a long
mile.
walk. And we had a great chat. We discussed car theory, what cars and how he chooses the cars for Long Island. We discussed his new book, Is This Anything?, which is available now. You guys should buy it. Is this
Everybody
anything?
buy it. He needs more money.
Yeah, he needs more money.
Did you imitate me at all or no?
We discussed the GT2 RS. I did impressions of you. I did impressions of him, and it was really fun. It was really fun to catch up with JS. And we talked a lot about comedy in the beginning, but in a minute after that, we talked only about cars and car theory. And as you pointed out, Zuckerman, the story of his new Speedster and the damage it incurred before it was even delivered. Here's my interview with Jerry Seinfeld.
We're both dressed to be on sprockets.
Black T-shirt Saturday with Jerry Seinfeld. Hello, Jerry. You're in Long Island?
Yes, sir.
Wow. How is it out there right now?
It's beautiful. Have you used this mask with the seam down the front?
Yeah, that's the KN95.
It's so comfortable.
Yeah.
I would wear this if there was no virus.
I've been leaning towards the fabric-y, fashion-y masks. But I don't ever wear them inside. I don't trust them inside. And as I understand it, the N95, which is the one that doesn't have the crease, early on they were approved, and then suddenly the market got flooded with these KN95s.
Yeah, which is not as protective.
It's not. But what does the K stand for?
Not crummy. It's a crummy.
Well, anyway, thank you for coming on. You know, we miss you here on Spike's Car Radio.
My favorite show.
I was going to have Zuckerman here, but he's got a cold.
Oh.
I didn't want to be in the same room with him. But he's been tested, and he says he's fine, but you never know. But he sends his love. I'll just do Zuckerman impressions every now and again. Hey, Moneybags, how are you? And that way, I wanted to have you on because of the new book. Is This Anything? Congratulations.
Thank you. I should hold it up, right?
Well, we're not going to use video for this.
Oh, there's no video?
No video.
Oh, so we're just doing this because this is easy?
Yeah, no, this is how I interview guests now who aren't in LA. I would say pretty much 90% of my guests I do over Zoom.
But no video?
No video, not yet. There's
Oh,
a plan to do that, but when we all get together and we can all sit in the same room. But I remember we were all, and it was, I think, last time you were here, we were all on the porch and you were running titles for the book by us. Do you remember that?
Yeah, vaguely, yeah.
Me and Bill and Z. How did you land on this one?
We thought it was funny, and the book title, the problem is saying what the title is without using the word is, because that's the first word of the title. So I'm calling the book, Is This Anything? So I thought it was a little funny, and it has a nice humility about it. And it's kind of just, to me, it's like, this is the comedy world. The comedy world is always just throwing ideas into the air and going, is this anything? So, I don't know, we just liked it.
So it's a compilation of material, like your files and files of jokes that
It's every joke that I have on file from my very first thing I ever wrote back in 75. It's everything that worked from 1975 to a couple months ago.
Is there new stuff that people haven't seen in there?
Oh, yeah. I mean,
So-
I cycle through a lot of stuff. So the past 20 years, the whole 45 years has just been this constantly evolving set. That new stuff gets added, old stuff gets dropped, and it just goes like that.
And how is it stored?
It's stored. I'll show you. It's stored in this thing.
Ah, a little plastic. Oh no, it's a little paper folder, like a legal brief.
Folder like from 1965.
So you have those from 65?
No, they still make them.
No, I mean from 65 until today.
75.
So how much do you have a special room for all that stuff?
You don't need a whole room for a folder.
But I would assume writing comedy since the 60s, you have more than one folder.
From the 70s. I have two, actually. I have two folders. I've used two folders in 45 years.
Two of those little ones.
They're not little. Look at it.
That's little.
Look at that. You fill that up with stand-up? That's a lot of stuff.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Shit, look at that.
That's,
It's
all right.
just COVID, by the way.
What's that?
That's all COVID.
That's all COVID material?
All COVID, yeah.
Do you want to run some by us?
Sure.
I'd love to hear some jokes right now about COVID. It seems to be ramping up again.
Yeah. All right, let me get my little... here's the stuff that's in the works right now.
It's a lovely office you have there. Yet
Thank
I
you.
always laugh when I see you in it because you're not sitting at the desk. You're sitting at the other desk. There's a desk behind you. All right, this is new COVID material.
This is new COVID material. This is just stuff written during the virus. I love when people are embarrassed about remembering some old out-of-it thing and they go, I don't want to date myself. Yeah, don't give us any clues. We didn't notice the extra wide light gray New Balance, the car fender touch-up paint, and the EMT rubbing the defibrillator pads and going clear.
That's great.
We have no idea how old you are.
You hate phrases like that. These
Yeah.
little cliches that everybody it is what it is.
Yeah.
But there's another one that you hate, right? I don't want to date myself.
I don't want to date myself. Yeah. No idea. So you mentioned you met Eisenhower, but other than we thought you were 23.
That's great.
There's another one in that same group. Another little phrase. Sounds like a plan. That's because it is a plan. That's what the sound was.
I've said some of these things to you.
Yeah. Give me a banana. Hey, sounds like a fruit. Shut up.
This is great.
People
So
say
much.
sounds like a plan. Okay, you feel some need to be cute for some reason, whatever. You know, it starts off as someone trying to be cute, becomes an incitement to violence, bloodshed, and innocent lives lost.
Wow.
So that's that's what I'm playing with.
This is great.
Thanks.
Boy, this is a great. You should just. You're not interested in doing any stand up during this thing, right? You would never do a Zoom stand up.
No.
No. Why not?
It's not real. It's not. I mean, I like, I don't want when I'm out of town. I don't get pizza. I only get pizza in New York. I want the real thing. I don't get bagels. I don't get pizza when I'm outside of New York.
No, I've eaten pizza with you at Moza in L.A.
Most in LA is an exception. Or Bianco's in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Wow. Hey, did you happen to hear Chris Rock on Howard Stern?
I did. You told me and I clicked on it. Yeah, it was great.
What an interview. I mean, I didn't know that about Chris Rock. I'm not as close to him as you are. But it was, yet another example of just like a great Howard Stern interview and, a guy we think we knew opening up about his, learning disabilities and other things that were going on and kind of explaining his behavior. He said, one of the reasons I did this was to explain it to my friends just in case they thought I didn't like them for other reasons. He also has a book out. Have you ever considered writing that book about yourself? Like a deep introspective, here's who Jerry Seinfeld really is?
Oh, stop. Who cares? I'm not even...
We're all interested.
No, I'm not interested in what people are interested in. I'm interested in the good stuff, good jokes, funny things that really get real laughs, that when you see them 15 years later, look, I have been a very fortunate guy in this industry, and that's because the stuff I did or always tried to do, you could watch it. Look at that our stupid TV series from the 90s. How does this thing have so much value with all of the content that's been made since we stopped? Because we really went for the big laughs every time. And that it's like Woody Allen. What movie is it? Stardust Memories, where the aliens said to me, "If you want to make the world a better place, write funnier jokes."
Right.
Do you remember that scene?
Yeah, right.
And that's my philosophy of life. You want to make the world a better place, write funnier jokes.
And this book is full of them. And it's for sale now, right? We can go to Amazon and we can order this book right now.
Yeah, it's up there.
Wow. And yeah, I want to get it. I want to look for the stuff I haven't seen because I've seen your act for a while, so I know all the jokes that are in there. But you're saying now I can find new things. Were these jokes that you decided not to use maybe because they weren't as good?
Well, you're always moving on. You're always writing better stuff, newer stuff. And my act is kind of this, slowly crawling amoeba.
Mm-hmm.
I never just throw. One time I threw out the whole act back in '98 after the series, but mostly it just kind of creeps along. Oh yeah, it's 500 pages of stuff.
Wow,
there's a lot you wouldn't know.
And what's your process for putting that together? Because you hear people talk a lot about writing a book is one of the most awful experiences there is. Did you have that experience, or did you?
It was quite a grind at a certain point because all these things that are in there, they really weren't written down on those pieces of paper. There's just notes on there, right. And then I take the bit on stage and it becomes something else. But I never went back and corrected the notes so that it was really written. So I had to remember it all, which I could do. I can remember every joke I ever did. But getting it all organized and in some kind of readable order was a bit of work. But it was kind of I felt like I was handing in my final paper. This is what I did.
So there's not going to be any more.
No, I would never do it again.
Well, you mean no more books?
No more books. And I don't think I would do another stand-up special. I've had that experience. You know, I like to move on. You know that about me.
Yes,
I do something and I feel like I did it well. I don't want to go back. I want to go forward. Let's see what else is out there.
All right. Well, let's talk cars for a minute. There's a lot going on in the car world.
Right.
This morning, the video you just sent me on YouTube, you know, if you're a listener, you know that Zuckerman and Jerry and I are always on a text thread sending each other stuff. And you sent us the funniest video this morning. Tell everybody what happens in the video, because it's really a wonderful video.
It is. It's a guy. It's a track video of some idiots who obviously rented a track for the day with their fast cars and their slow reflexes, and they're racing around, and a guy in a GT2 RS loses control and slams into a Pagani guy, and the two of them glide gently onto the grass, and the GT2 guy gets out in his white T-shirt and Bermuda shorts and kneels down on the ground and puts his head on the ground like a golden retriever.
What have I done? What have I done? I was laughing because I was guessing that both of those cars were his. That he had lent his friend the Pagani and he smashed them together. But I so relate to, I just so relate to that. You've always been, I remember since, back in the Seinfeld days, I would always ask you, why don't you ever get on the track and mix it up? Right? And you said, dentist.
Yeah.
I have nothing to prove to anybody, but there are a bunch of dentists out there that do. And guys, and I'm just going to end up smashing my car. Do you still feel that way?
Yeah. One of my favorite things of this series, whenever I would find, and there was no internet in the 90s, when I would read through one of those, like Classic and Sports Car, one of those great British car magazines, and there would be some guy in a completely with his arms up in the air, and I would always cut it out and leave it untape it to Spike's door.
The dentist flinger moment, we would call it. It's a terrifying moment, the way they get flung out of that car. Yeah. That's the lap belt for you. All right, now I have car questions for you. First of all, you texted me a picture of a Subaru, a new Subaru. What's that?
I like to have Subarus around my house here in Long Island in case we have a guest staying with us that wants to go somewhere. So the Subaru Outback to me is just have one. You should just have one in case anybody needs a car. If your kid wants to go somewhere, it's just the new Outback is fantastic. I also have the STI S209, which I personally drive, that Subaru got for me. It's very hard to get those because there's only 209 of them. And that is a wonderful fun. I love that car so much. I drive it everywhere.
209?
It's called the STI 209. They only made 209.
Got it. And that was leading to my next question. How do you put together this grouping of cars if you're out in the Hamptons? Like, I'm assuming you have a garage that you can put a couple of vehicles in up there, but not many, right?
Yeah, I got like 5 spots.
So how do you, from all of your cars, pick those 5 for Long Island? Like, let's take Long Island fall. What were your choices and why? Well,
my most important car for Long Island fall is my 59 356 Carrera GS.
Yes.
You know that car, that black car? That car has the fall vibe because it's black with a dark red interior. It's a 4-cam. I'm a 4-cam addict. I love the sound of them. I love the vibrations and the complexity and all the metal gears on gears. So I love 4-cams. But I took a drive this morning. Let me put you on to something completely unrelated. But this morning I was driving my 79 911 SC Targa, the black Targa. Mm-hmm. And it's nice enough to take the top off. And I've got this plug-in kind of satellite thing, and I click on Sirius XM, and I see that for John Lennon's 80th birthday, Alec Baldwin interviews McCartney. And it's a 1-hour interview, And I'm a Beatles maniac. I have inhaled every book, every video, everything there is about the Beatles. I even know Paul McCartney a little bit. But this interview is so illuminating, so interesting. And he talks about him and Lennon growing up. And Alec does an incredible job just asking not interviewer questions, real person questions about Lennon and about their relationship. Mm-hmm. And if you like the Beatles and you want to hear an amazing, and he sprinkles in they sprinkle in the songs that he's talking about and the stuff that they did. I gave her all my love. That's all I do. So you know that song?
Yeah.
So McCartney wrote that song, and then George Martin says to George Harrison, "Give me something to just start this. I need something to start it. Just give me some notes to start it." And it's that dun 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 dun. You know those three notes?
Yeah.
Really? Yep. And McCartney says, "Imagine this song without those three notes."
Right.
Because it's a totally different song.
Yeah.
Because I had the song, I had the melody, I had everything. Mm-hmm. But those three notes at the beginning, that's what makes the song.
So you're listening to this in the car?
I'm listening to this driving my 79 SC Targa, and I'm in heaven.
And how are you doing that?
And I drive by my.
Are you listening it in your phone?
No, the phone. It's got Apple CarPlay. I have one of those retro. Old look radios, satellite radios.
Wow, there you go. Yeah, that's in the 82. You had that put into the 82 that you sold back to Paul and I.
Right.
And it really does change the quality of your driving when you can do things like that.
Yeah.
Wow. And what did you say after?
McCartney also lives out here in Long Island. Mm-hmm. So I drive by his house just while I'm listening to it. And then I drive by Alec Baldwin's house.
But you don't stop.
No, I don't stop. I don't want to talk to them. I just want to hear the interview.
If you could get them both in the car and then listen to the interview, that would be all right. I like the story you told about Paul McCartney coming into your house and playing a song for you once by yourself.
He just played a few notes of Lady Madonna. I have a piano in my living room. I don't play. I don't even know why we have it.
Wow.
And he came in. He wanted to see. He said, "Could I see the inside of your house?" He brought his grandkids over. Mm-hmm. My kid was having a birthday party, and there's a million kids here. And he says, "Could I see the inside of the house?" I said, "Sure." And so we were just walking around the house, and he sees the piano in the living room, and he plays the. Was it Lady Madonna or Eleanor Rigby? Whichever it was. And yeah, it was a liquefying moment. I was liquefying.
Yeah, did you ever think?
No.
Growing up in Goofball, Long Island, that in a few years, one of the Beatles, maybe the Beatle, will be in my living room.
Yeah. And when I was a kid, there was a thing with some radio station, whoever could write the first name of a Beatle the most times on a sheet of loose leaf would win something. A sweatshirt or something. So I picked Paul, and I started writing Paul as small as I could, as many times. I didn't even know where I would send it or if there was a real contest. I don't even know. It's just one of those things you do as a kid. And so, he comes over. I've talked to him a few times. I don't like talking to him. I don't like it.
Why?
I'm too nervous. It's not real. I can't handle it.
But isn't it kind of fun to have someone in your life like that? I mean, so many people have that experience with you. You're Jerry Seinfeld. Isn't it fun?
Spike, please. You're very kind. And that's very
It is the same. It is absolutely the same.
So here's the other great part about the interview. He mentions me in the interview.
What did he say?
He mentions me because he's talking about one of the first songs that him and John came up with.
Right.
Was I Saw Her Standing There. And when he won the Gershwin Prize in the Obama White House, I was invited to come and perform. And I did this bit about, she was just 17, do you know what I mean? And I said, I think I know what you mean. And I think there's some law enforcement here in D.C. that might like to have a little chat with you about what you mean. And he loved that joke so much.
I did too. I thought it was such a clever, clean joke that I can't believe nobody thought of it until you wrote it.
Yeah.
But that's what you're doing. You're doing this every day, right? You wake up every day, you do a little work every day, you write jokes every day.
I'm like one of these old guys in Hawaii that just paddle out every morning. They're old and their spine is like a broomstick, but they paddle out and they catch a few waves, and that's just living. It's living.
Before you go, I want to ask you just a couple quick questions. You finally got into your...
I got another little bit about that.
What?
Quick question. Another very annoying.
Go ahead, give it to me.
What's a quick question? Quick question. Hey, quick question. All questions. It doesn't matter. It's not going to be quick. The answer's not going to be any shorter. It's not quick.
Yep.
Hey, quick question.
Long story short is one that bugs me. Long story longer, you mean? That's what you mean, right? I was watching for some reason I saw your interview on Good Morning America with Stephanopoulos, and I don't know who the morning anchor is, but she said, do your teenagers find you funny, Jerry? Because my teenagers don't find me funny. And what did you say to her? You're like, well...
I said, well, I'm a professional stand-up comedian. You are not. So that might be part of the reason.
That was so great. It made me laugh. And then I happened to see, I must have been on YouTube because the 50, you brought that 59 onto Jay Leno's garage.
That's right.
You had 3 cars laid out for him to drive, and you eventually drove the 58 broken down blue Speedster that we love, right. the worn pair of jeans. Yeah. But here's what I want to ask. You've been avoiding driving your GT2 RS, and I saw it with somebody of yours out in Long Island, the black car. Yeah. What are your thoughts on the GT2 RS now that you've driven it?
It's really the greatest car in the world. It's really like that 4Cam thing. If you crave audible mechanical complexity, if that's what you crave, this car gives it to you. It's really, I have that 934, that 76 934, the orange car that Bruce Canepa built for me. And it's the clatter and the noise and the whistling and clanking and crunching. And, that's, if you love that car gives it to you in a very special way. It doesn't matter what, you're driving around 30 miles an hour. It's just a circus. Yeah.
And it's usable all over the place, right? What kind of seats do you have in it?
I have the sport buckets. I don't have the 18 ways in it.
And I think he said you driving back from Long Island to the city, which is a decently long drive. Did the seats bother you at all?
No, they don't bother me.
No. All right. What about the 992? Now, I've been in this new 992 cab. I drove it out to the desert one day and then up to Willow a few days later. So I've done some real miles in this thing, and I found myself going, this could be one of the greatest runs of 911s, of a new 911 that Porsche's ever made. To enjoy these cars, and this car in particular, as much as I'm enjoying this new 911. Because in the beginning, I didn't like the way the exterior styling was.
Yeah.
But the second I drove it, I'm kind of losing my mind over these cars. You have a 992 C4S in Aventurine Green, correct?
Dude, that's correct.
Are you getting any wheel time? What are your thoughts?
No. I don't have it here, but I'm getting it here. It's been in storage. And when I drive it, I love it. But, I remember a great line from the 70s, or maybe it was the 60s. The first car that Subaru brought to America was called the 360. It was a 2-cylinder car. It looked like a shrunken VW Beetle, like half the size of a VW Beetle. It made 15 horsepower. And it was a joke. They thought the whole company was a joke. And the last line of the road test was, if you don't like this car, don't blame the car, blame the world. That it's inappropriate. Mm-hmm. And I kind of feel that way about the 992. If you don't, the screens and the size increase is not really Porsche's fault. It's
right.
The world. It's the world's fault that cars are going in this direction. And I suppose they'll be able to do it again, but I just don't know. I think we've crossed a certain Rubicon of complexity, particularly electronic complexity. Any car that has those screens that you can do with your finger, I don't know. It's just not.
Well, the finger's important, I've learned. And I was just chatting with someone about G-Wagons versus another SUV, and that was and people make fun of me for it, but it's when I don't have a touchscreen, I find myself looking down and doing a lot of things that I shouldn't be doing, trying to get a cursor to go where I want it on a screen, and going back and returning, and I feel like it's unsafe as opposed to. This 992, I get into it. The infotainment system immediately talks to my phone without doing anything. My phone's in my pocket.
Yeah, and cool.
And I'm focused. My eyes are up. My hands are on the wheel, and I'm not driving dangerously. And I feel taken care of. This car has adaptive cruise control and lane change assist, which normally I don't even think about. But on a long haul, you pop it up to 85, and you can move your feet off the brake and the throttle and pull them forward, and your back feels good for a little while. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you keep your hands on the wheel, but it was giving me nice 20-minute breaks, and then I would re-engage and then blast off again and make ungodly noise and have fun. But
we've had that feature since 1968. That's called cruise control.
But adaptive is different. Adaptive takes you, so, on the way to Palm Springs on a Friday night, you could be going 70 miles an hour, then suddenly it's stop and go. So I'm set at 70, and then I'm pulling right up to a stop. My feet are not on the brake or the throttle, and then we're back up to 70. It's doing all of that work and keeping me 2 car spaces in front of the car in front of me. Right. So that I'm not going back and forth, which is about as much self-driving as I want.
Right.
I want to steer.
You have a few cars, and you use Zuckerman's cars. What would you give up to have a 992? What would you replace?
Oh, nothing. I would just add it.
Right.
I mean, we were trying to sell our GT2 RS, but haven't had an offer yet. But a lot of that was driven by Moise and Zuckerman not getting along for 24, 48 hours, and me being in Angeles Crest with Matt Farah or somebody and coming out of the forest and finding my car for sale. But that resolved itself pretty quickly, and we pulled the car back, and now it's here, and we're happily using it.
You can't compare those two, right? There's no comparison between those.
No, and I think they both have a spot in the garage. I'm giving the 992 cab to Zuckerman this week, and what I'm hoping he's going to come out of the week with is, let's just keep this.
Right.
Let's just hold on to it. It's part of that Porsche subscription app service, so I can keep this car for 3 months, or I can trade it in for something else November 1st. Right. Or I can buy it. That's just the way that app works. It's pretty neat. Well, why? What's the 992 you have your eye on? Are you going to wait for GT3s or?
I always say this. It's always a lie. I just feel like this is not for me. I feel like I don't want to leave the 991 world yet. I like that. To me, is the absolute biggest size. I like the 992. My wife can use it, or going out to dinner. But for me, I like the 991 GT3 Touring or GT2 RS or 911R.
Are you privy to any new information?
Of course, I'm always
Have you been chatting with people at the factory?
Yes, many people.
Are there exciting things coming?
Yes, there are. Particularly just for me.
There are. You have things that have yet to be delivered.
Yeah, well, I had that incident where one of my cars went underwater somehow. And I haven't even told you this, and I'm not going to tell you now, but I'll tease you.
Yes.
I got them to do me some special things so that we can all feel better about my car drowning.
So you have a new car on order. You get notified that it was dunked somehow.
Here's how you find out, and it's really bad. You text your guy. You go, hey, it feels like that car should be on its way. What's the ETA? Give me a call. Nobody wants to give me a call.
No, and it's also going the wrong way. Did you say, why didn't you give me a call? What, did it just happen 10 minutes ago?
Yeah.
Oh, so what? And they didn't tell you how this happened or anything else? You just don't want to share it.
I know what happened. I don't understand how a car gets into a puddle that deep. I don't.
That's funny.
The car is now being completely taken apart. They're going to repaint the whole car, rebuild the whole car, but they're going to add some special things that it did not have that nobody has.
And then you can get a vanity plate. Dunkirk. 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 Wow. It's funny because I remember that's a story that's happened with you quite a bit. I remember. I think the Boxster wasn't your Boxster. Something happened to it on the ship on the way over.
Oh, I think you're right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, there are cars, and there was 7 GT2 RSs I think headed for Brazil or somewhere that went down.
Yeah, that was a great
in the deep. This happens. It's a common story. You
have to accept, if you want to be in this car thing, you have to accept damage, crunching, smushing, drowning. It's all part of the fun.
Yes.
It really is. Breaking stuff, fixing it, that's part of the fun.
Most people would say, you know what, just give me my money back. And frankly, I was surprised you didn't say that.
They did offer that. They said,
right, of course.
Yeah. Why would I want the money back? Obviously, I want the car.
Right. Well, because it's been damaged.
It's still my car.
It's still your car. You don't care.
No.
The new book is... This is where I talk like a show business host. The new book is This Anything by Jerry Seinfeld at booksellers everywhere. Do they even sell books anymore in stores? Is there any stores?
There are some stores.
Where do we buy it? We buy it on Amazon?
Obviously Amazon.
I can't wait to read it. I'm excited. I love jokes. I don't know if I've ever told you, but to prepare my submission for your sitcom, I bought a little paperback of your jokes.
Oh, really?
Recommended. Yeah, it was recommended that I watch all the episodes of the show, and I had a problem. I didn't have a VCR, and I worked till 10 o'clock on Thursday nights for Letterman. So I went down to some stupid little gift shop in Times Square, and you had this little paperback book of some of your stand-up. Sign language. And I read it from cover to cover and got into the rhythms of Jerry Seinfeld. And no lie, I used that in my submission.
Oh, wow.
And that's all I did to prepare for that. Is I took stories, I worked with Gamble and Pross, and I took that kind of rhythm, and I went, I kind of see what he's interested in and what makes him angry.
Right.
I got a little bit of it.
Yeah, it's true. It's a vein.
So if you're thinking about becoming a comedy writer, or you just want to laugh, Is This Anything is what you want to get from Jerry Seinfeld. Jerry, I'm going to let you go.
All right, man.
Thank you for taking time.
Thank you.
Before you sign off, are you coming out to visit us? Zuckerman wanted to know.
I'm coming.
All right. Take care of yourself, my friend.
You too. I'll talk to you soon.
Bye. What'd you think?
Fantastic. Glad I was there, Ferrison.
You'll be there for the next one. Earth, Wind, and Fire will be back. He is coming out.
Really?
As long as we can keep our cases down, we'll go over to the porn hangar and we will do a show from there. Anyway, I want to thank Policy Genius. I want to thank TLG Auto, and I want to thank who's the other guy? Oh, Manscaped, of course, for their nose hair trimmer. Thank you for sponsoring Spike's Car Radio. If you want to check Zuckerman out, you want to check me out, you go to Instagram. You'll find us there. Zuckerman is at the real Zuckerman. I'm at Spike.
No, I am
Person.
just at Zuckerman now. I own Zuckerman. I'm no longer the real Zuckerman. I'm just Zuckerman.
Are you sure?
I am positive.
The address is at the real Zuckerman.
The address is at Zuckerman, and then my name below that is the real Zuckerman. I have just taken over. I have taken over the domain of Zuckerman. No longer.
How did you do that?
I have connections, Ferriston. I do have deep connections. Some other Zuckerman had it, and he was just squatting on it, and he is no longer Zuckerman. I am.
All right.
Or you can reach me at my law firm. Ferriston, don't let me lose this opportunity to get clients.
Go ahead, go.
Carpenter, Zuckerman and Rowley, CZR LLP, the only attorneys you need if you or a loved one have been injured in an accident.
That's right. And we got to talk about that in a minute, my friend. That's our show. We'll see you next week on Spike's Car Radio.
Thanks for listening to Spike's Car Radio, brought to you by Hangar 56. Listen to new episodes every Wednesday, and be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.